Hey you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from my bunker. And for those of you who've been following my channel over the past few years, you knew it was that one of my goals was to visit every Ripley's, believe it or not, auditorium in the United States of America. And with my recent trip to San Francisco, I finally accomplished that. So I've been to all 18 Ripley's, believe it or not, auditoriums in the United States. So, what I figured I would do is I would rank them into order of which one I like the least to the one I like the most. And I liked all of them. I think every Ripley's is worth checking out. Kind of what I'm basing my opinions on is, you know, the size and scale of the Ripley's, definitely the artifacts that they have in them, and some of the presentation. I like when they tie in the local area into their theme, and a lot of times they have like weird, wacky buildings that are really, really impressive. So let's get started. Number 18, Willaimsburg, Virginia. I'm sorry, someone has to be last place, and I will give this honor to Willaimsburg, Virginia's Ripley's, believe it or not. First of all, the exterior has virtually no character to it. It looks like it could be an accounting office. It's very small, and it just kind of lacks having like any real standout artifacts that you truly remember. Probably the best one I can remember is that they had every president's face painted on a seagull feather, which is pretty cool, but nothing that just really blows you out of the water. Number 17, Panama City, Florida. Now, I think what bumps this ahead of Willaimsburg is, unlike Willaimsburg, Panama City has a really awesome exterior. It's a giant ship right along the strip there, and it looks really, really impressive when you drive by. Unfortunately, like Willaimsburg, it kind of lacks any huge standout artifacts, blow your mind artifacts. They do have a taxidermy bear with a tire around its waist that I thought was pretty cool. But other than that, just not a lot to catch your eye. Number 16, Orlando, Florida. Surprising that this would be ranked so low on this list because Orlando is the Ripley's headquarters. But honestly, their Ripley's is just, it's not that big. There's some cool things in there. There's Oksana, the taxidermied circus bear, is pretty cool. And they have like a mystery room where you can roll pool balls uphill. So there's definitely some cool things, but not as much as you'd expect from the Ripley's in Ripley's hometown. Number 15, Ocean City, Maryland. Now, I really like this Ripley's location. It's on the actual beach boardwalk, and it's got a really cool exterior. There's an animatronic shark stuck through the building that actually moves. Unfortunately, it's just kind of missing out that one big artifact or something to stick out. A couple cool things. There are a lot of medical quackery items, some interesting torture items. And they have that one prank that's only in a couple Ripley's where you open up the bathroom and there's a mannequin in the bathroom, and it embarrasses you. Number 14 is the Ripley's in Grande Praire, Texas. Now, this Ripley's is a little different. First of all, the exterior is shaped like the Taj Mahal, and it's in the flat ground of Grande Praire, Texas. It's not around anything, so you just see like a Taj Mahal sitting in a field in Texas. And then when you go inside, it's actually not only Ripley's. They have a Louis Tussauds Wax Museum, a mirror maze, just a bunch of other Ripley's attractions all in one building. And some cool artifacts. They got they have a giant state of Texas made out of rattlesnake rattlers. They have Jesse James guns. So a couple really cool things that's definitely worth checking out. Number 13, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, this building has kind of the earthquake theme that a couple Ripley's have. A little bit of a smaller Ripley's, but they do have a real weird exhibit on King Tut's curse, which involves this weird little mummy figure. And it's like he's doing different things, different people die in different ways, and they have this little creepy mummy acting out those scenes. Also, they have John Arnold, the six-legged boar, that, you know, it's a cool taxidermy. It has kind of a cool backstory behind it. Number 12. Key West, Florida. Now, interestingly enough, this Ripley's doesn't have a very prominent exterior, especially given like how wacky of a city Key West is. It does have, when you first go in the door, it does have a singing fisherman and an animatronic shark, so real cool display in the front. What I really like about the Key West one is that they have some really cool local history in it. They talk about the story of Count Cosvel, the man who turned a corpse into a living doll. And they have some Ernest Hemingway stuff, including Ernest Hemingway's shrunken torso. Not his actual torso, but the torso that he owned. He owned a woman's shrunken torso with a head on it. Number 11. St. Augustine, Florida. Now this Ripley stands apart in the fact that it is in a vintage, legit castle, which is definitely different and definitely makes the whole experience of maneuvering through the Ripleys very interesting. Also, they have a redwood house in the parking lot. It's actually a full redwood stump that's been turned into a house, and that's actually free. You can tour the redwood house without ever paying a ticket to go into Ripley. Number 10. Branson, Missouri. This has another earthquake-style exterior, and this one probably wouldn't rank quite as high if it wasn't for two big marquee items, and that is the world's largest roll of toilet paper and one of the world's largest balls of twine. The whole building is like built around this massive ball of twine, so that's definitely bumps it up on the list. Number 9. Atlantic City, New Jersey. This is another boardwalk Ripley's. They have kind of a cool building with the earth smashing through it. One of the main things I wanted to see there was they have the Jersey Devil skeletons. I'm fascinated by the Jersey Devil, so it's cool to see that. Also of note, they have a section where Ripley's held a contest to have people mail odd things, like put postage on odd things and just send them. Like there was a bird cage that had just been sent through the mail, and I think the most interesting was someone took a mailbox, sealed it up, and then mailed the mailbox to Ripley's. Just put the address on the side of the mailbox. And then they have this really amazing but disturbing room that's just about people being impaled by different objects and surviving. Number 8, Newport, Oregon. Now, I know a lot of people that know about Ripley's would probably be shocked that I put it this high on the list. I think some people may even put it at the bottom of their list. But to me, the Newport, Oregon Ripley's is completely unique. It is, for one, it's like in a not massive tourist area. I mean, Newport is a tourist area, but it's not like a bustling tourist area like most Ripley's are in. And it is probably the least updated, least modern Ripley's, which gives it its own real charm. It's a real old school feel to it, and it's got some figures that Ripley doesn't use anymore, like Grimbaldi, the depressed clown. A few other things that you don't see at other Ripley's. They have an earthquake simulation room. They have an animatronic pharaoh that threatens you with curses. Just a completely unique experience. That's why I like it so much. Number 7, San Francisco, California. Now the outside of the building is actually shaped like the Golden Gate Bridge, which kind of ties into the local theming. And they also have a car from the San Francisco earthquake in '89 where it was crushed and had someone trapped in it for days. They also have an interesting train car room where you go in and everything's shaking like a train car. It's pretty unique. But my favorite there is probably Goliath, the world's largest sea lion, who's taxidermied there. Number 6. New York City, Times Square. The Ripley's in Times Square is really, really awesome, and it's got this really cool marquee, like an old movie theater, but it's got some of the Ripley's characters built into it. The inside of the building, the architecture will have like faces carved of like the Ripley's characters. And if you like shrunken heads, this is the place to go. They have an entire room of shrunken heads, the largest collection of shrunken heads possibly anywhere. I can't think of anything offhand that has more shrunken heads than the New York City Ripley. Number 6, Baltimore, Maryland. Now, this one does a really good job of tying in to the local theme. They have Chessie the sea monster who lives in the Chesapeake Bay wrapped around the building, and then there's a little exhibit inside on Chessie where you can actually move an animatronic Chessie. And also a very famous resident of Baltimore is Johnny Eck, who you can see figures of in about every Ripley's. But this Ripley's has an entire collection of his screen door paintings. When he retired, he would paint on old screens, and they have a really cool collection of those. They also have John Wilkes Booth's Derringer, which is pretty amazing. And if you've been to other Ripleys, you know that usually they have a few toothpick sculptures. In Baltimore, they have an entire room that's all toothpick sculptures, like every major building in the world, like built in toothpicks. And then they have a helicopter that you can actually steer that gives a live feed of the overtop toothpick city. Number 4, Wisconsin Dells. Now, I think it is pretty fair to say that Wisconsin Dells is the most unique Ripley's of them all. It's really not like any of the others. And then it's way more interactive in a really strange way. There's hidden artifacts. You actually have to like solve puzzles and find like Easter eggs. There's literally like special buttons you can push that make artifacts rise up that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see. So I don't even know if I saw everything that was there. And then there's a very, very unique section where you actually go through a fake fireplace and you sneak up this narrow staircase, and they have a bunch of more mature artifacts up there. And by mature, I mean violent, including what is one of the craziest artifacts in all of Ripley's, and that is the head of serial killer Peter Curtin cut in half and rotating. Number 3, Hollywood, California. Now, of course, Hollywood, movies, that all goes together. And the Ripley's in Hollywood has kind of a strong leaning towards movies. They've got a lot of impressive movie props or props that belong to famous people, such as like Charlie Chaplin's cane, Laurel and Hardy's hats, Michael Jackson's fedora. They've got a costume of a flying monkey from Wizard of Oz, as well as a actual brick from the Yellow Brick Road. And this Ripley's actually will have a lot of temporary exhibits where they'll bring in a very special artifact like Marilyn Monroe's dress or Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. Number 2, San Antonio, Texas. Now, surprisingly enough, even though it is the second on the list, it has one of the least exciting exteriors. It's just a plain building, but it is literally directly across from the Alamo. You stand in the doorway of the Alamo and you look at Ripley's, believe it or not. Now, this Ripley's has a really, really cool inside theming. And the theming is that it's a warehouse, which doesn't sound exciting, but they do a really good job of it. They have the freaks and Ripley's characters dressed up like warehouse employees. There's some interactive ones that move. They have like this hanging conveyor where there's like artifacts hanging from it, just rotating over top the building. And they have like, so there'll be like a 5-legged sheep will come by, which is just so random and amazing. And they have some serious big ticket items here. They have the car that Lee Harvey Oswald rode in when he went to assassinate JFK, as well as the head of Alfred Packer, the notorious cannibal from Colorado. Number 1. The number 1 spot on my list goes to none other than the Ripley's Odditorium in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Now, this is the most recently updated Ripley's, supposedly the most money spent on a Ripley's, and it shows. The exterior is tied in really well with the surrounding area. It's famous for the Smoky Mountain National Park, so the outside of the building is trees and leaves and different animals. At night it blinks like there's fireflies, and it's just really well balanced inside. There's just like a little bit for everyone. There's a good balance of just cool items, interactive exhibits, things for kids, things for adults. They have one of the mysterious rooms where people get taller and shorter on each side. They've introduced some new characters, such as Short E. Dangerously and Acro Brit. And they do have what is to me the most disturbing artifact in all the Ripleys. And I'm putting this above Peter Curtin and Alfred Packer's preserved head. And that is the artwork of a woman who paints only with her own vomit. So that is my ranking of my top favorite Ripleys in the United States. And I want to say that they do change Ripleys quite often. They do rotate exhibits. So some of the information I may give may be outdated by the time I put this video out, but this is all judging from my last visit at that particular Ripley's. And of course, you may not disagree, you may not agree with what I'm saying. You may disagree with my opinion, and that's great. I'd love to hear in your opinion what you think the best Ripley's is. And next, maybe we'll start looking at Ripley's in other countries. And if you do want to watch my videos of any of the Ripley's I've mentioned in this video, I will put a playlist link in the description where you can watch a video from any of these locations. Appreciate you guys watching. Also have an interactive map that'll show you all the locations I've been to, not just Ripley's. And if you'd like to contribute to the channel, consider buying a t-shirt, consider donating to Patreon. A $3 or more donation will get you a postcard once a month. But for now, this one's in the bag.